Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Elijah and I am a left-handed guitarist. Every lefty knows the pains of living in a right-handed world. Scissors, cooking ware, the pencil, lead, and ink on the side of your hand, and of course, right-handed desks. And of course, guitars are no exception to this rule. I've been playing guitar for 11 years now, and in that time, I've gotten to learn firsthand the pros and cons of being a lefty guitarist. As a guitar teacher, I've also been asked whether or not left-handed students need a left-handed guitar. I never give a definitive answer because the correct answer to this question is different for each person, as cliche as that might sound. However, I do give some tips and things to consider so that they can decide for themselves whether or not they want to invest in a left-handed guitar. I'm here today to share some of those tips with you and hopefully help out any lefties or those of you with left-handed children who want to learn how to play the guitar. First, it's important to remember that learning to play the guitar is not an easy task. It can be uncomfortable and sometimes even downright painful as we are building finger muscles, developing calluses, and using other muscles that we might not have even known that we have. With that said, as much as possible, we want to avoid making an already challenging task more challenging than it needs to be. Many naturally left-handed people decide to play left-handed, but still many others decide to play right-handed. One might choose to play right-handed for a number of reasons, but the most common and very valid reasons are instrument availability, straightforward pricing, and simpler instruction. If someone decides to play right-handed, the truth of the matter is that they're going to have far more options when it comes to finding and purchasing an instrument. Throughout my years of playing, on every single trip to the guitar store, I only found maybe 2 or 3 left-handed guitars in one place. Sometimes there wouldn't even be one at all. So you can imagine the struggle of a young guitarist visiting the store and seeing hundreds of guitars, beautiful instruments lining the walls, and not being able to play and try out a single one of them. So to avoid this problem, many people do decide to become a right-handed guitarist, even if they are naturally left-handed. In recent years, the selection for lefties has gotten better, I will admit, but it is very slow progress. And you will have better luck online, I find, but even then you might have to pay a prettier penny, which brings me to my next point. Oftentimes, a left-handed guitar will be priced higher than its right-handed counterpart, even if the wood, measurements, and all the other specifications are exactly the same. There are some reasons for this, but to me they only make about this much sense. So it's just an unfortunate reality for those of us who decide to play left-handed guitars. Another important thing to consider before deciding to play lefty is that most, if not all, guitar instruction materials are written and published with right-handed technique in mind. What I mean by this is that when you read guitar chord diagrams and method books and things of that nature, they will be talking about your left hand as the one that plays on the fingerboard, and your right hand as the one that strums or does the other picking motions or plucking motions. However, a lefty is going to play with their right hand on the fingerboard and their left hand strumming or doing the picking motion. So a left-handed player would have to flip all the instruction directions or diagrams in their mind to translate this to their own instrument. So this is an added mental step that lefty guitarists have to take that a right-handed player would usually never have to worry about. Also, and this isn't a big deal at all, but still something to be aware of, you will occasionally get that one guy who wants to insert himself in a conversation with you just to say, hey, excuse me, did you know you're holding it backwards? Or you walk into a store and then the employee asks if you need any assistance trying out any of the guitars, but you don't see any lefty guitars in stock, or you already own the only lefty they have. And so instead you just say that you would like some picks instead, to which they reply, oh yeah, sure, no problem. But I'm not sure if we have any lefty picks in stock. Feels bad, man. Again, not a huge deal, but still something to be aware of before you decide to play lefty. Now, you might ask, with all of these extra considerations and steps that a lefty guitarist would have to take, why would anyone ever decide to become one? Well, each lefty guitarist probably has their own specific answer, but these generally boil down to preference and comfort. For me personally, I decided to play left-handed after taking a few classes playing right-handed. I had a guitar from my grandpa that he had given me, and it was strung right-handed. I took a few classes at my local city program, and I was doing okay. I could do the chord shapes with my left hand fairly well, but my right hand could only strum a few beats before ending up feeling lots of tension in my wrist, forearm, and eventually all the way up to my neck. I realized that this was not normal, and of course not at all what a young guitarist wants to feel when they're learning to play their instrument. I realized that this was due to my brachial plexus palsy, an injury to the nerves in the shoulder and neck, which these nerves give signals to the shoulder and arm and hand. I've dealt with this injury since I was born, so I could talk so much about it, but in short, it made my guitar playing much more difficult than it needed to be, and I realized that if I continued playing right-handed, I would never really be able to play very well, if I could even continue at all. So instead, I decided to try playing left-handed. We got my guitar restrung, which was a whole event, a story for another time. But I've been playing left-handed since then, and I am so grateful that I decided to do so. It did take a little bit of flipping the right-handed chords I already knew, but it wasn't too difficult, and in general, I just felt much more comfortable playing left-handed. This goes back to what I said earlier. Playing guitar is already difficult, but we don't want to make an already difficult task more difficult than it needs to be. So I am one of many lefties who have decided that the comfort and natural feeling of playing left-handed far outweighs any of the other considerations or obstacles that come with playing left-handed. Availability, pricing, and flipping things when we're learning, none of that matters quite as much to us as feeling good while we're playing. Yes, it's still difficult to find guitars even a decade later, but there is progress being made, and maybe it's a little something about supply and demand. The more of us decide to play lefty, maybe they'll have even better selection in years to come. And thankfully, the guitars that I have found haven't been unreasonably priced at all. In fact, there are even some upsides to playing lefty. First, right off the bat, you'll stand out. That's unavoidable, and I kind of find that it's a little nice having something that differentiates you from the crowd. While I was in college, out of all of the guitarists there, I was different. Well, not only because I was a girl, but also I was one of only 2 lefties. And it's nice to have that difference, especially when you get to do cool projects. For example, I was playing in a quartet 1/4 with 3 of the guys, 2 of us left-handed and 2 right-handed. And we played this piece that was not only a really good piece to begin with and super fun to play with friends, but if I'm being completely honest, we also looked really cool on stage. We had our headstocks facing opposite directions from the center. So that was really cool to do, and something that wouldn't have been possible without celebrating the difference of lefty and righty players. Another really convenient thing I think about playing left-handed is that you're essentially playing a mirror image of what a right-handed guitarist is playing. That is, if you're playing a left-handed guitar strung lefty. For example, after the first few weeks of taking those classes at my city program, I was mostly self-taught right here on YouTube using tutorial videos that I found. I realized that if I sat in front of my phone or computer or whatever it was I was watching my video on, then I could just sit there and mirror exactly what I was seeing. So when family and friends would ask me, how do you do that when everything is backwards for you? Well, in reality, it was really just as simple as looking in a mirror. So I found that that made my learning process a bit easier than I think even some right-handed players have it when they're watching videos and tutorials online. And now, as a guitar teacher, I find that most of my right-handed students find it really helpful that they can mirror my hands as I'm standing in front of them or on the Zoom call in front of them, just as I mirrored right-handed players when I was learning. Lastly, I think that those of us lefty guitarists are bonded in the fact that we share in a pretty similar circumstance. We all thrive in a space that wasn't necessarily designed for us. So when I see another lefty guitarist anywhere, I feel like I can instantly relate to them because we've gone through a similar process in learning guitar that a right-handed player probably doesn't know very much about firsthand. So where are all my lefties at? Let me know in the comments. You can share some of your experiences. They're probably pretty similar, and let's chat. But I hope this was helpful for all of you who are watching and wondering whether or not you should take the plunge and buy a left-handed guitar. If you're able to play air guitar, or maybe a real guitar if you have one available, and you're able to play it right-handed, with your right hand strumming and your left hand doing these kinds of motions and stuff, then you can probably play right-handed, and congratulations, you have endless options. However, if you're a lefty through and through, and that sick riff you're hearing in your head just needs to be played this way, with your left hand strumming and your right hand doing all the motions, then have no fear, own it. Buy yourself a lefty guitar, and most importantly, have fun playing it. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any similar experiences to what I've mentioned in this video, let me know in the comments, and share this with any of your lefty guitar friends who might have similar stories as well. Also, let me know in the comments if you want to hear more or more in detail about anything I discussed in this video. Guitar for lefties is a big topic, and I'd be happy to share more about it in the future. So if you want to hear more lefty guitar talk in the future, let me know in the comments, but most importantly, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.